Yeah, it's a great question, Eddie. And India, let me just give a background. India is an absolutely incredible country. Indian people are so dynamic and so smart. I mean, you are just pumping out geniuses every year through your IITs, who are going around here in the United States. We have IIT grads leading some of our most important companies. So really, companies. There's really no limit to what India can do. And I'm now just reading this book, The Anarchy by William Dalrymple, about the East India Company and how when they showed up in Bengal was one of the wealthiest parts of the world, responsible for 40% of global textile manufacturing, and the UK was this little backwater at 3%. And basically the British looted Bengal, took everything. Then a few short decades later, in the 1770s, there's mass starvation in Bengal because of all the looting and the destruction that the British caused. And then there's 3% of textile manufacturing in India, and now it's 40% in the United Kingdom. So India is an incredible country with incredible people which has gotten screwed. And now is India's time to come back. And technology can be and must be a really important part of that process. India also got screwed after independence because Nehru made a disastrous decision to move toward a socialized economy and an alliance with the Soviet Union as the way forward. It's only been very recently with the Manmohan Singh reforms, and now with the opening up, that India even has had the chance of leading the world in any of these areas of science and technology and in building these world-beating companies. But India can do it, and there's a few things that need to happen. One is India needs to unleash the incredible potential of its people. And the IITs are great, but you have so many hundreds of millions of people in India, many of whom could be the most brilliant IIT grads, but they never have that opportunity because they are illiterate and in some cases malnourished. And I'm not a huge fan of China in every way, but China has brought 700 million people out of abject poverty over recent decades, and India's record is far, far, far worse. If India could even minimally educate and empower its poorest people, there is really no limit. I mean, that brain power that India potentially has is enormous. And the waste, it's really throwing brain power down the toilet by having so many illiterate and in some cases malnourished people in India. So the biggest thing that India could do would be educate and empower its own population. Second is that India needs to start, like China and like the United States, making some real, some big investments and some big bets in specific areas. And I certainly think that genomics and AI and the intersection between those two are a really important area. But India doesn't need to do it in the same way that China can do. You look at India's space program. It was done on the cheap in close partnership with the United States, but nothing made me happier than seeing all those ladies in saris dancing around when the space probe was successful. So India can do it, but it really needs empowerment. It needs a level of focus, and I think this area of genetics is really important. I'm encouraged by this indigen movement because I think it would be great. I mean, now that you have these national ID systems, you're starting to recognize there can be national databases. There need to be privacy protections, but the genetic information of the Indian public, if it can be put into large databases that are safe, that people feel confident in, could be the foundation of driving personalized precision medicine that will help improve the health of all Indians and of people around the world and lay the foundations for bigger industries. Also with assisted reproduction, India has unfortunately a tragic history of selective abortion.